Fiction versus self-help books. One is about stories and the other is about improving oneself. I've always been requested to cover this topic as people genuinely want to get into reading. But determining the difference between these two types of stories and just ideas in general is what it takes to get ahead as a reader. I'm here to end the debate of whether you should read fiction stories or self-help books that many people suggest. The point of reading and why reading books is so important is to be present in the moment, to learn and to be able to be a better human being. Ignoring non-fiction books in this example, fiction and self-help stories are the biggest key to improving oneself, whether it's escaping to another reality or improving in the real world. The difference is, depending on the context, one is better than the other. But I'm here to tell you exactly what it is to do when you're trying to read and which one you should follow more between the other. I made a chart below, as you can see here. I don't know if it's able to be read, but there is a list of differences between fiction and self-help books. I call self-help books non-fiction as it can be lumped in the same category, but when people want to get into reading and haven't read a book in a while, these two are the biggest keys that anyone can go for. Ignoring genre and how the importance of that genre works into it, fiction can be summarized into being just a story. Like our ancestors in the past, when they didn't have technology like electricity or entertainment, they told stories that would be captivating, timeless, and effective for what we want to tell. In this example, we show that they can be inspiring and we could take inspiration from all these ideas. Learning how to read and look into someone else's story allows us to use these factors in our real world. And being able to use all this knowledge but based on someone else's story, whether it's real or not, allows us to see the world much more differently. Self-help books, on the other hand, are easily like the closest thing to YouTube videos. Improving oneself and the messages they give inspire other people to do the same. Learning what it takes to get ahead of people is why self-help books do as well as they do. Think of The Art of Not Giving an F or Lighter by Young Pueblo, like I mentioned in old videos. They've helped me understand what it takes to get ahead, and by looking into these factors of self-help books, you're learning so much more. The reason why people want to read in the first place is to be able to get ahead of oneself, to get the knowledge they want in a specific field. Reading books in itself is a piece of entertainment. Like movies or TV shows, they can have clubs and groups dedicated to them. But knowing the difference between a fiction novel and a self-help book really elevates what it takes. As much as I would love to demonstrate on the graph, I'm going to explain my full honest thoughts about what difference they make. Understanding fiction stories first and foremost is the biggest key here. 1984 is one of the best examples I can think of, and yet looking into fiction stories as a whole, there's many ways to look at it. There's characters, plot details, many lessons and themes formed from the story. It's a way to get invested in one character's journey, and many of which we can relate to based on that story. In our own lives, we love looking at other people's interests and ideas because we want to learn from them. We get ideas to be better from ourselves, and looking into stuff like 1984 or heck, even poems that revolve around fictional characters, we become invested in them because we want to escape. This whole idea of escaping ties back to work and all the healthy habits we do, which is why I emphasize reading so much. Reading will never die in this case because they involve stories that will matter from person to person. It's a way to show what we can do, and the authors, most of the time, use these fictional characters to make us more connected. The reason why some of the best fiction books do as well as they do is because they do so well at changing the narrative and making us, the audience, look more interested in the story. Compared to fiction novels, self-help books are straight to the point. Like a long-form YouTube video or podcast, they're the author's thoughts that then they would share information to learn. I one day want to write a self-help book, but knowing what works with self-help books and what doesn't is the full longevity of it, how timeless it is, and how much the difference that comes with self-help to fiction. They're here to teach us a lesson rather than trying to tell a full-on story. There are points in between where the author shares his or her story, but most of it, like Atomic Habits here, is a way to just learn and to be better in the world you're trying to live in. Even though they share many differences, At most, self-help books and fiction novels are the same. Going back to the graph I had earlier, I had a sticky note right at the bottom covering one last detail I forgot to share with both. As inspiring as fiction novels are, or as captivating and enchanting self-help books can help you learn, one thing is for certain. Fiction novels, they sell. Self-help books, they also sell. The truth about these types of stories is that no matter what, these books sell based on person to person. No matter the context, there is a cue that can then be intrigued and formed by everyone's opinion. As much as they can sell and how much they share similarities, it's hard to tell the difference between what works and what doesn't. And there's arguments for both. And yet, here comes my verdict. Me, if you watch my older videos, this makes sense knowing how I am. But fiction novels, as a whole, take what works with self-help books and amplifies them by a million. Self-help books are one of the biggest types of books in the world right now, and understanding why they work so well makes sense because the world is so depressed and low. Watching this video myself, you're rather intelligent for your age or your demographic, but fiction novels are a way we can all connect. It's a story that we can then pull together and to write and be able to share. Now, they can be just as binge-worthy as Netflix, and escaping your own world isn't the best way to go about it. But sometimes, to learn and to get better at a craft, to be inspired and to be more fulfilled in any career you want, fiction novels are some of the best inspirations that possibly can be. And they both have their benefits, as I said, self-help books to fiction novels. Understanding the difference between both is amazing at what they do, but knowing that fiction novels have a way to connect with audiences much better, despite the fact they both sell no matter what, is the way it should be. If you want to get into reading or just want to read much more, I would 100% suggest fiction novels. If you're curious about what type of fiction novel you should read, it honestly doesn't matter. So long as you're interested in the characters and where they set out to be, that's the point. As I said at the start of this video, books are here to make us more present in the world. We're here to learn and here to just experience everything that comes firsthand. While we may not have the biggest riches or any kind, books are some of the cheapest and easiest ways to get around. Sometimes they are more costly than others, sure, but experiencing that knowledge is a great fact that we can have, especially in the modern day today. So if you want to get into reading, I would suggest clicking on the top link of the description to check out my first book. It's a PDF file and you can easily check it out when you have the time. To make up that time, I made a video about exactly how to read more, and if you want to check that out, there once this video ends. Along with my other socials, my other book is down there too if you want to help me elevate what I want to get done. And until next time, remember to just keep on reading. Doesn't matter if it's fiction or self-help. Once you understand that, you will be far ahead of everyone you know. Until next time, take care.